Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Cheeseboy628 here today giving you the semifinals of NPL Season 3, the playoff bracket. Whoever wins this will face Trev in the finals, and from there, the winner of that will be the champion of Season 3 of the NPL. So, it's pretty legit. I am facing Jolt despite this name. This is indeed Jolt's name on the right there. And so I'm going to give you the down low of what's going on here. So, Joel might upload his own version of this. I saw a couple of his videos recently and how he described some of this hype. He hasn't talked about this specific battle yet, but I wanted to address this. So, specifically in our division, my division consisted of me, Jolt, and the Green Bay Palkias, and apparently we have been the toughest section of a season in quite a long time, if not forever. So I guess that's definitely something pretty notable. And it's totally understandable too, because Jolt's a great player. I'm okay apparently, and so and then of course I barely beat out the Palkias in order to get into the playoffs in the first place. So as you know, I beat Richard last week, and so I'm facing Jolt here for semis. My record against Jolt specifically is 2-0, so I have a pretty darn good record against him despite Jolt having one of the best records in the league. So that's all regarding that. Other than that, this team may seem familiar if you saw me play Jolt last time. I think it's the same mods with just slightly different movesets. I think, yeah, instead of Rock Slide on Scolipede, I switched it to Mega Horn because I want Mega Horn just to do a ton of damage. And then I put Defog on Togekiss, as I would just want that to do in the case that like he does get rocks up with either his Clefable or his Terrakion. I don't want my Togekiss and Scolipede taking a ton of damage from that, as well as just residual in general. Looking at his team, it's very similar to what he's had in the past, although Venusaur and Dragonite are definitely different. I have plenty of stuff to handle his Dragonite. His Venusaur, we will find out, but I mean, I do have Gothitelle, so we will certainly see about that. But yeah, let's just get into it at this point. Alright, cool. So I started with my B-Sharp because I might as well get up rocks up first turn. If he didn't start with Dragonite, it would have been super free to get up rocks. No matter what, break his multi-scale and then damage his Rotom Heat, and he doesn't have a spinner, so it's great. Nonetheless, I do outspeed here, and he goes for superpower. So he brings me down to my Sash, and that's just an interesting situation. He's at -1 attack, -1 defense. It's like, okay, he still has multi-scale intact. I can press knockoff here without any regrets. Do a ton of damage, and it turns out he has a Yachi Berry, and he goes for the Ice Punch here. So apparently he doesn't have E-Speed. I go into Medicham here because this is my free Mega Evolution, and I can just go for Fake Out and take him out. So now he brings in Clefable, which I am 100% okay with. Like, I was actually pretty glad that he decided to bring it in, because this is a mon that, you know, it might be able to set up later game, and so getting damage on it would be great. Although I could go to Scolipede here. Yeah, looking back at it, I definitely could have went to Scolipede, but I digress. Either way, I do go for the Zen Headbutt, do a ton of damage, and as you could tell, he took rocks damage, so he's unaware. So he definitely could be a calm mindset. He does not flinch though. It goes for the Moonblast, and it does a decent amount of damage. Apparently I had a 6.5% chance for me to die to that. I've always had a very similar roll to this in the past, so I wasn't exactly expecting to die, which is why I was very okay with this play. They were talking about in the chat here, if he has BP, GG. Well, I revealed the BP here so I don't miss, because this thing is going to be super important. And so I'm able to take him out. So it's 5-4 in my favor. Now he brings in Terrakion. I don't know what kind of set this is going to be yet. I could go for Bullet Punch, but what if he has Quick Attack? I don't know what kind of set he is. This Terrakion might be adapting to my team, and you will see that in a second. So I'm going to go to my Togekiss here as he goes for the Aerial Ace, and doesn't do very much damage. I'm wondering here, like maybe he's Sash, maybe Scarf. I don't know. He's not doing a lot of damage, that's for sure. But he does go for Stone Edge that takes me out. I am especially defensive, so that's understandable. This lets me bring in my Goth here. He has X Scissor, number 1. Number 2, he has the Payapa Berry, which means that does any super effective psychic moves do half of what they should. So as if it's just ×1. And then he has X Scissor. So clearly this Terrakion was meant to handle my Goth specifically. And instead of like messing around, I decided to just lose my Goth here, call it a day with that. as here I could bring in my Scolipede, as he decides to bring in his Venusaur right on my Protect. Somewhat risky, but it's understandable too. As you'll see, this is the most crucial part. So I do have Earthquake. Him most likely being Jolly, and since I am Adamant, that's why I protected, so I definitely got the speed boost. Now you're going to see, he's of course Mega Venusaur. I have Life Orb Mega Horn, which should be able to hit KO. I don't know what kind of set this Mega Venusaur is, it could just be super bulky, we'll find out. Here as I get the +1 speed, I max attack, Adamant, Life Orb, Mega Horn does 55%, cool. Okay, cool. I can definitely take it out, perhaps with a Poison Jab even next turn, if so, I don't want to miss. He goes for Sleep Powder and misses. What a set. Definitely wasn't expecting that, but it's super unfortunate. I'm going to talk about various hacks that will happen throughout this match and talk about how much it really matters. This was the epitome of hacks that mattered throughout this game, as 75% chance to hit. If he did hit, I'm going to explain this now. He had a specially defensive Cursing Venusaur. So at this point, unless I made correct plays to bring in my Medicham for free, Venusaur likely would have cleaned up. Of course, that's not to say whether either of us would have made a certain play regarding that, but it certainly affected the game to the point that his Venusaur can no longer even be able to sweep my team because of that miss. So that was pretty unfortunate, no doubt. And so going on here, he brings in his Rotom Heat. If that's defensive, I don't want to stay in on that. As I bring in my Porygon 2, get the attack boost, so that doesn't matter for me, unfortunately. But nonetheless, he goes for the Overheat, and he's at -2, and I go for the Tri-Attack, doing a decent amount of damage. Here I freeze him. Super unfortunate, especially after he had some pretty crucial hacks toward him. At this point, I'm pretty sure I put OML, oh my lord, in the chat, because it's just the principle of that happening. That was the worst part. And at the end of the day, the freeze didn't really matter, and you'll see why in a second. He is frozen for this first turn. I use this to recover because I need as much health as possible, because Terrakion does up to 88% with the close combat, and so I want to be able to live that. But as you can see, number 1, he unfreezes the second turn, so it wasn't super crucial. Number 2, he's -2 special attacks, so it really, I'm going to be honest here, I really don't think it was that big of a deal. There were also some rolls earlier that weren't necessarily in his favor according to Vic. Vic was kind of just getting upset throughout this battle. Any bit of hacks that was not in Jolt's favor, he was targeting at me for some reason. But none of the rolls mattered, to be quite honest, the way we played it out. And this freeze wasn't super crucial, as I just explained. It was just that Sleep Powder miss that was definitely unfortunate. But yeah, I go for the Tri-Attack as he goes for the Light Screen. He just goes for a Thunderbolt that does measly damage. That's why I was saying that wasn't a huge deal. I just go for another Thunderbolt here, as what I wanted to do was just stall out his screens. Maybe use Terrakion to get a free switch into his PZ, which I think is what he's doing. As here, he goes for the Nasty Plot, and I'm just going to Tri-Attack. I do enough that in the case that he did have sub, I would be able to break it. I go for another Tri-Attack, and then I paralyze him, but he has the Lumberry, so thankfully that wasn't terribly crucial. Either way, I wouldn't be able to kill him off through the screens, so as long as he didn't get paired the next turn, I don't think it would have been super crucial anyway. Nonetheless, now the Reflect is off, and so I can press Fake Out here, and be able to take out his PZ, but instead he just sacks off his Rotom. But at this point it doesn't matter, as I can just go for Bullet Punch, and that's definitely at a range where Bullet Punch will take him out. So that is the game. So yeah, at first Joel was a little upset, no doubt. I mean, that's totally understandable. The Sleep Powder miss was definitely unfortunate, and I'd have to make plays to bring myself back in, because number 1, I didn't know what kind of set the Venusaur was. Number 2, I wasn't sure how I was going to get Medicham in once I understood the situation. Nonetheless, definitely good game without unfortunate hacks, of course, Jolt. Before this, we had 2 very clean matches, and my season has been pretty clean in general. But then, of course, when you get matches like this, it's unfortunately dirtier. The other match that the Timbers actually had was way messier than this was. But nonetheless, it's unfortunate when hacks is the factor that not necessarily automatically, but is a fairly key determinant in determining who wins when skill levels are definitely pretty close. So nonetheless, this does put me in the finals versus Trev. Trev has had a really good season. I think he's lost one battle this entire season. I've lost 3. One of my losses was to him, so definitely got to do a little bit of prepping for that. We're already talking about when we're going to battle, and so that'll be pretty intense, and I hope you guys will anticipate that and enjoy. So I will see you guys then. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, sub, and until later. Peace.